Hi everyone, it's Keely here for Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for today's soap making video where I'm going to make champagne and strawberries. The first thing I need to do is to create the embeds, and we're going to start by making champagne bottles. Let's go. So to make our champagne bottles, I'm going to be using the Wilton wine bottle mould. Now if you're here in Australia, this mould is pretty hard to get these days from an Australian supplier, but I have left a link in the description box to an Amazon US link where they do still sell this mould and you can get it shipped over here. And I do actually use this mould an awful lot, and usually what I end up doing is pouring my soap into the mould, pulling it out, and then I mix some mica with some rubbing alcohol and paint the details like the labels and the little caps that go on them. But the problem when you do that is that when people go to touch that soap, they get mica on them and it can actually upset a few people. So I was trying to work out a way of using this mold and still getting that detail in the bottles without getting dirty hands from painted on mica. And that's when I decided I was going to use some soap dough to create the embellishments on the bottle. So what I've got here is some gold soap dough, and I'm going to cut myself a piece off, and first thing I'm going to do is roll this out really flat. So it's probably only about 1 to at most 2 mils thick. I want to get it as close to that 1 mil as I possibly can. So let me get this one rolled out. Alright, so now that I have got this rolled out nice and flat, I'm just going to lay it back on my piece of wrap here. I'm going to straighten one of these edges out with my cutter. Alright, so now that I have got that cut nice and straight, when you look inside the mold here, there's like a little label section, and I have measured that and it is approximately 9 mil high. So what I want to do is just grab myself a ruler, and along that straight edge there, I'm just going to put a marking 9 mil above it, like so. And then I'm going to grab my piece here again, and I'm just going to cut that strip, like so. Doesn't matter that that's broken there, because we're going to be tearing it up in a bit anyway. I'm now going to grab my mold, and just with my piece of soap dough, I'm going to layer it into my mold where that label is, and then I'm just going to cut it off just to make it nice and even, like so. And you can see we've got that label in our bottle. I'm going to do that with all of these pieces. So I've actually done 21 of the bottles because I remembered that the amount of soap oil I mix up makes 21. Now that we've got that, we need to do the rest of the fine sort of details that go in here. Now there's a tiny little round label, so all I'm going to do is get a little bit of soap dough, roll it up, and then pop it where that little label would be. And then I'll get a slightly bigger piece of soap dough, and I'm going to push it into the top where the cap usually goes. Now when I'm pushing it in, it's going to be very hard to see on the camera, but I have kind of done it so it's on a bit of a slant, and there is a gap that goes over the top of it. And the reason being is when we do pour our soap in here, I want it to actually go over the top of here and adhere to this piece in here so it comes off when we unmold them. So I'm going to get all of these little pieces in. Once we've got this all done up, that will be when we go and make some soap up, and we're going to pour it in here, and we'll let it set up before I'm molding it. Okay, so now we've got all that prepared, let's do the soap to go in here. I've got my oils here with a little bit of mica. This is Olive Grove because I want that classic green bottle with gold label. Got my lye water. I've got a little bit of sodium lactate in here to help release it out of these molds. Once we've got it mixed together, I'm going to pour it into my piping bag here. I just find using a piping bag to get the mix into these smaller molds is just so much easier, less mess. Really handy tip for you. So let's get these done. Okay, so now that all my little cavities are filled up, I'm going to leave them set up, but while it's doing that, I'm going to go make some strawberries. To make my strawberries, I'm going to use this mold, which is one of the latest ones to be added onto the Pimp My Soap website. We've got 3 different sized strawberries, a couple of little strawberry flowers, and then a set of leaves. But I'm mainly going to focus on using these strawberries. I don't think I'm going to do the flowers today. I think it might just be a little bit too much. So I'll mainly focus on doing these strawberries. And I'm going to do it as I do with all the other times I have used these molds. Just going to roll a bit of soap up, pop it into the cavity like so. I like to always roll it out nice and smooth first because I find that it picks up the details out of the mold just a little bit better. Grab a bit more. This is the red soap dough that I'm using. Just give it a bit more of a roll, pop it in. That one definitely needs to be trimmed off with the scraper here. Those 2 aren't too bad. And then I'm just going to gently peel it back. It's been raining today, so we're a little bit humid, so a little bit more sticky. But there we have some cute little strawberries. And then when I go to do the top of this soap, I will save back a little bit of soap, which I'll colour with green, and we'll pipe some little leaves to go onto the top of these strawberries. So there it is. So I've got quite a few of these to make to go onto the top of this one. I'll probably want a big and maybe a medium strawberry to go on each. We'll see how it actually goes. So I'm going to get on to making all of these, and then tomorrow, once all my soap is set up, I will be able to unmold those champagne bottles, and then we'll get on to making the soap. Okay, so we've got all of our little strawberries done. I will pipe leaves on once they're on the soap, and now I'm going to get my little champagne bottles out of the mold here. Just going to very gently push them out. And there comes the first one. And that is what it looks like. I just love this look so much more than trying to paint them on with a little bit of mica. It's well worth that extra little bit of effort to get it in there. And I also know that my customers now aren't going to get mica all over themselves on that first use. Now I usually do make myself up a couple of extras of these just in case we do have any. I can see this one doesn't quite want to come out. Just make sure I have those couple of extras for any that do break. So now that I've got those unmolded, I'm going to go get the oil all ready, and we're going to get on to making champagne and strawberries. So now that we have all of the embeds ready, let's get on to making the soap. I've got my oil and my lye water here. Being a little bit impatient, my oil is a little bit warmer than what I like to soap with, but I really need to get these done because I'm about to go on holiday. So I need to get these done so they can start their curing ready in time for Mother's Day. I'm going to be pretty boring with this one. We're going to make a base using some red apple, and then I am going to do some drops with 2 different golds. We've got some resplendent and some extravagance, and then we might put a chopstick through it. And then I've also put aside some leaf green mica, which I will do some piping with at the end. So let's get on to making this one. I'll start by pouring my lye water into my oils, getting it mixed up, splitting out for the colors, and then we'll get it in that mold. so I changed my mind. This is super fluid, which is unusual because the last time I used champagne and strawberries, it wasn't this fluid on me. I've also recently discovered that this table is no longer level for some reason, so my molds need to just be propped up. I was going to use the chopstick, but I looked up at my little rack here and I saw the the hanger tool, and I haven't used this for so long, so I thought, why not? So I'm just going to pop it in, give it a couple of little swirls in here. It is so super fluid, so I'm trying not to spill it everywhere. Alright, you can see how fluid that is just by how much it's running off, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of swirls. I am going to have to leave this sit here for probably about 5 minutes before I can put these embeds on, otherwise they're just going to sink straight to the bottom. So I will leave it sit here and come back in a moment and we'll get these embeds on the top. Alright, so I've just had a last minute change of plans for the soap. I was going to leave this flat, and as you can see I was putting my champagne bottles on, but I just figured it was looking a little bit too flat, so I've decided I'm going to come in, I'm going to put some spoon dips in here, and then we'll sit our little champagne bottles in them so that the bottles actually sit up on the soap. I think it's just going to look better than if they were sitting flat, so I'm pretty happy with that side, and I'm going to do the same to the other side because the way it was sitting before, I think I was only going to be able to get one strawberry per soap bar, and it was just going to look too regimented. I can't think of another word right now, but it was just going to look a little bit too designed, and I kind of wanted a little bit more flow and movement in this soap, so I'm pretty happy with them. Let's get that bit of soap off there, and I'm going to start putting these back on again. So that's a bit better. So basically my little bottle tops are going to stick up just that little bit, but I think it's going to make the soap just look better than it was when it was lying down flat. So I'm going to pop all of my little champagne bottles on the one side here. Now I did do different size strawberries, so some of these are going to end up with one big one like that, and then I have got some of these others where I can probably put maybe 2 small ones, like so, on there, and then we'll get some leaves and it will start to really come to life. So let me get all of these on here, and then I'll show you what it's going to look like by giving you a close-up at the end. As usual, I saved way too much green, but that's okay because I do have another soap to make where I want to do some green leaf piping, so I'll leave that there to do on that soap. But here is champagne and strawberries in the mold. Really love how it's come together, especially how some have that big strawberry and others have the 2 little ones. Those gold flecks in there from that biodegradable glitter is stunning. But how many of you were shouting at me, look, look, we went big, little, little, big, and then carried on the pattern from there. I realized when I was about halfway down the bar, and I thought that's just going to bug me until I cut it, and then I can turn those bars around. But anyhow, that's just a little thing, something that I have to learn to live with. But there it is, champagne and strawberries is going to sit here, and we're going to be back in just a moment, and we'll take a look at what swirl that we got. Alright, so it's the next day. We are ready to cut into our champagne and strawberries. I really like the colour that this red apple has gone. It's given that real soft strawberry sundae kind of look, or strawberry ice cream sort of look. Really pleased with that. But let's get this one lined up on the cutter here. I've got a little mark, that's it. Hopefully we are going to miss everything. I have got it in the right way as well. Alright, through we go. We're still a little bit soft. It's very early Sunday morning. I've come into the shop, it's about 6:30, so gonna get these ones cut. Alright, we've got that bottom piece off. It doesn't look too interesting, but let's hope it gets better than what that piece looks. That is, that one is just basically got a blob of gold in the bottom. Oh, but look, we have got some swirls on that side. Try and keep you out of the shadow there. They're very faint at the moment. Now, I know some of you say that you can't see the swirls on the soaps. I think a lot of it is to do with the lighting that is in the shop. It just makes it that little bit harder to pick up things when they're not bright, bold. But the swirls are definitely there. And there is this other side. Although I've got lots and lots of lights in here, I think because of the way they're placed, it casts so many shadows. It makes it really difficult to do the videos and things. But I don't want to have half my stuff in the shop and half my stuff at home, so we'll just have to make do. And because it's a rented property, I can't necessarily go ahead and put brand new lights in either. Anyway, now that we've moved down from that very first bar that was a little bit boring, we are getting a few more of those drops and swirls in here. I think maybe it was because the soap was so fluid that they're quite gentle sweeping swirls through there. But I really do like how it's come up. It smells good. Champagne and strawberries always does smell good in a soap. There is the top with our little champagne bottle, and this one's got the 2 strawberries on. So I hope that showing you how to do our little champagne bottles that way has given you some ideas on how you can use some of the other molds that you might actually have in your stash that would look really good, having those sort of soapy embellishments within them, because you can do them with so many others. You can either do things like your strawberries. If you've got strawberry molds, you can put a little green in to do the leaf top, and then pour in the rest for your strawberries. There's so many possibilities out there. I hope you have found that very helpful and that you've enjoyed coming along with me today. If you did, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below. And until the next video comes out, oh look, that one's got a heart. I hope you have a good one, and I will see you then. Bye.